guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is Friday the 13th, which means that yesterday was Thursday the 12th, which means we had a UK election, and it was absolutely fantastic, and I just feel like singing, celebrate good times, come on, da, 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 da. There's a party going on right here.
No, actually, it's over there, but yeah.
And here,
all right, guys.
In our
so
basement,
right, we are so excited for you guys over there. We watched this all last night. Of course, that would have been really fun to just go live as the results were coming in, but you were sleeping, so what good would it do? Okay. Come back with me.
I'm with it. I'm
all right.
so with you.
So what happened yesterday in that election? We want to break that down for you because it wasn't just that the Tories won. Okay, it has something to listen. I personally don't care about the Tories, and I don't think most people in Britain do.
Labour lost,
and it's not so much the Labour lost either.
Socialism lost. Evil.
The EU lost. This was, sometimes you get stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I know a lot of people didn't want to vote for conservatives, but what they were voting, they weren't voting for the Conservative Party. They weren't voting for the Tory Party. If you don't know if you're just joining us in America. In 2016, Nigel Farage had convinced the British government to put on a ballot a people's vote if they would stay in the totalitarian globalist European Union or they would leave. Well,
70% of people turned out to vote.
The people voted to leave the EU. But the globalists and Theresa May were thwarting that for 3 years. And people were just fatigued and they were tired. And there were a lot of people, the Labour left, the left-leaning areas were supposed to be the working class areas. They voted to leave. They voted to leave the European Union, and their leader, Jeremy Corbyn, in the beginning was behind it. He said he wanted to leave too. But as time went on, he backed a second referendum to get a second vote of the people, and it was just going to be bogged down and mired down, and the people had enough. And if you've been on Twitter, you find that all kinds of crazy things have been happening. The social justice warriors out there. You have the Lib Dem candidate. She is a smaller party. There's Labour, Conservative, Lib Dems, and then there's the Scottish National Party. Those are like the main parties. And then when you have Northern Ireland, the DUP. Those are the main parties. Nigel's Brexit party. I'm going to tell you what Nigel's Brexit party crazy things
accomplished. They actually accomplished something huge.
Nigel Farage is going to go down in history, as I was telling everybody last night, as the most underrated British politician in history. He is the most humble. He's the most resolute. He's the most steadfast politician. I'm sure since Winston Churchill and Margaret Thatcher. I'm sure he's up there with Margaret Thatcher.
Speaking of Thatcher, don't the Conservative Party have like a bigger lead than even when Thatcher was in?
No.
I know that there was something that they were comparing to Thatcher.
Yeah, since Thatcher. I think
it was even bigger than her though. I don't remember what it was. Maybe if Barry's in the comments, he can correct me on this.
So what happened last night is these numbers were coming in, the shock. And the awe and watching the globalists going down, watching the globalists cry tears, watching celebrities like Hugh Grant crying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to a video of a very tired Nigel Farage this morning on Good Morning Britain. But know that he's been up all night as this video is playing. So give him some slack.
Wait, we don't have any volume, do we?
Nigel Farage, what he did was he put forward 600 candidates, and he wanted to make it and watching Boris Johnson didn't do that. He pulled out even more, and he ran the candidates in the Labour heartlands.
Yeah,
knowing that, very interestingly enough, that in these Labour heartlands that wanted to leave, a lot of those people couldn't vote for Boris Johnson. They wouldn't vote for Boris Johnson,
right?
And at that point,
they can't vote conservative at all.
At that point they couldn't stomach Jeremy Corbyn either. So there were some, to give you an example, since there's like 600 constituencies here, and you guys can be the exact number, you could have the Conservatives winning by 2% over Labour. But then the Brexit Party would get like 8%.
Right.
So that you know that the Brexit Party took some of the chunk out of Labour, gifting these seats to Boris Johnson, hoping, as Nigel Farage hopes, that the real Brexit will get done. So here's Nigel.
In a way, it's a very good morning.
Still, hang on here. Let me show you how to do this. So pause that.
I can do it.
Okay. And you don't have any power. Should I go get it?
Any power? Oh yeah, I guess it wouldn't hurt.
You're about to die.
No. Sorry guys, I'm gonna get this microphone. No, it's not connecting. My input devices don't.
Is your Bluetooth turned on?
Michelle just bring down the power. I'll keep talking and Michelle bringing up the power. Michelle can bring up this video while I do the volume. All right, so Boris Johnson, and I'll have Michelle bring up that Nigel video and the history there. No more miserable threats of a second referendum. I got it. As Tories secure biggest majority since Thatcher. Go ahead and bring up that Nigel video for me.
Since Thatcher,
Yeah.
I was close. I knew it
Prime
had
Minister
something
Boris
to do with
Johnson
her.
has said that his House of Commons majority, he will with his House of Commons majority, he will deliver Brexit by January 31st, 2020. And he has no reason to. He doesn't have anybody stopping him. This summer, he had a ton of people. He had people in his own Conservative Party, backing out on him, pulling out on him. With just two constituencies left to call, this was last night, the Conservative Party will have between a 78 and an 80 seat majority in the House of Commons, giving the party its biggest majority since Margaret Thatcher was re-elected in 1987. Meanwhile, Labour has had its worst election since election results since 1989. In his victory speech from Westminster on Friday morning, I'm going to play a piece of that. Prime Minister said in his characteristic verbosity and humor, "We did it. We pulled it off. We broke the deadlock. We ended the gridlock. We smashed the roadblock." Okay, go ahead and play the video.
Okay.
As I get some power here.
It's a very good morning for you. And in a way, it's not a very good morning at all.
Well, look, I mean, the thought that if we stood candidates in the south of England and southwest of England and allowed the Lib Dems to win lots of seats, which they would have done, that would have taken us towards a second referendum. I think that would have been agony for the country, disastrous for trust in democracy. So I took a big strategic decision. I said we'd fight Labour. I said all the way through we'd dig chunks out of Labour that would actually make it easier for Boris Johnson, and indeed that's what's happened. So look, as far as Boris Johnson's deal is concerned, I think it's dreadful, but at least we're going to get Brexit. I'd call it half a loaf.
But Nigel, I mean, half a loaf maybe, but you hate the deal, you don't think it represents Brexit, your party's won 0 seats. With the best will in the world, it's been a failure, hasn't it?
No, not really. I mean, look, if you go back to February, Piers, Brexit was stuck in the weeds, a second referendum was coming down the tracks, hundreds of thousands of people marching in London, and most of us thought Brexit was finished, gone, it wasn't going to happen. I set the party up, we got rid of Mrs May, we reset the agenda, and we are at least, at the end of January, going to get Brexit. I just hope and pray that Boris takes us towards a trade deal, and not a situation where we effectively become an associate member. But this morning's result is the best we could have hoped for.
One of the things that you had argued was that it was important for you to be represented so that you could hold the government's feet to the fire. You now don't have that power, do you?
No, that's absolutely right, and nor do the ERG, interestingly, because with a majority of this size, 25 or 30 committed Eurosceptics have also effectively lost their influence. So, I mean, the truth of it is that Brexit will now be exactly what Boris Johnson wants it to be. I'm absolutely certain that the vast majority of those 17.4 million want a genuinely clean break for the institutions. And we will have this debate, we will have this argument over the course of the next 6 months. But the big story, I think, is there will now not be a second referendum and we are going to leave. And that is, in historical terms, big progress.
And the other big story is it's been an absolute triumph for Boris Johnson personally.
Yes, it has. I mean, look, get Brexit done was a good, simple slogan. I met lots of people on the doorsteps who just said, look, 3.5 years of this, it's agony. Whether it does get Brexit done, well, we'll find that out over the course of the coming weeks.
Well, are you is that the end of the Brexit party? And if so, what happens to you?
I don't know the answer to that, Piers, to be honest with you. I mean, I thought after the 2016 referendum, that was it. I was done with it. I came back in because all appeared to be lost. If they make a complete Horlicks of it, I'll be back. If not, I'll say, look, I did my best to try and change the future direction of this country.
Lord Farage or US ambassador?
I don't think anything like that's going to happen, Piers.
Are you ruling that out?
Washington, for example?
Yeah, it's just not going to happen, okay?
Why
Simple
not?
as that. Because they, in a very odd psychological way, the Tories have always rather resented me. Don't forget that the Tories have been a Remainer party. They didn't want the referendum. They never thought they'd lose it. It's cost them a couple of prime ministers, and over half the cabinet are actually Remainers. So, I don't have that many friends in high places.
Do you have any last thoughts for Hugh Grant and Steve Coogan and other celebrities, Lily Allen, the ones who were all trying to stop Brexit happening, who've woken up today to a rather bad morning?
Yeah. Get back to acting, get back to singing. Oh, and do yourself a favour. Go outside the M25, and there you will find people with very different views to you.
I'm sure they'll be highly receptive in a warm way to your thoughts. Nigel Farage, thank you very much.
Okay, so the takeaway from that for me is to see how Nigel Farage cares about the people. Mm-hmm. And the people made this vote.
Yeah.
They decided, listen, we believe and we trust in Boris Johnson that he's going to be able to get this done.
Just Boris, actually.
So I think that Nigel is being very magnanimous here. I think he's being very grown up. And I think he's being very honest. You know, he said, I'm going to call it half a loaf. Okay. We are going to get out. We will have Brexit. We will have it in some form. Now, when Piers asked him what happens to the Brexit party, and he honestly says, I don't know. Because as much as leaving the European Union, if they get this bad deal with the EU, it may be a forever fight. Like, a 20-year fight to regain their own rights. Okay. So I think it'll be interesting to see moving forward. So I think that for Nigel, he saw what this represented because everybody was saying people's views have changed. They only voted for Brexit because they didn't know what they were going to get. And that's why we have to have this second referendum. Right. And people came out in droves and in mass. Probably more than the 17.4 million that voted for Brexit.
This was like
probably came out and said no.
Right.
Enough is enough, and that's what's so huge. You were going around the house last night, practically leaping. We're winning. We don't support Boris Johnson. It has nothing to do with Boris Johnson. It has everything to do with people waking up and saying enough is enough. We want sanity. We want right and righteousness to win out. We want populism. We want to put our own nations first.
Right.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
So Nigel sees that.
Yeah.
It's a win.
Do you know, I'm much happier seeing the exit poll where it is than seeing a hung parliament.
There must be a certain sadness, though, in you. Many people have credited you with Brexit. They say if it hadn't been for you, Mr. Cameron would never have put that referendum promise in the 2015 manifesto. And here we have an election result. Which would...
This is what you want to see right here. Labour down 71 seats.
It's unbelievable.
Labour down 71 seats. It's huge. Conservatives up 50 seats, and they already had the majority.
Seem to make sure that Brexit, in some shape, is going to happen. And on this night, you're written out of the script.
Well, you can do what you like. I can tell you that if we'd stood in every seat in the country, it would have been a hung parliament. That would have been a disaster.
Well, we'll never know that, of course.
Well, I think the Liberal Democrats would have won an awful lot of seats. And as I say, when you see the scores on the doors coming in the Midlands and the North, you will see lots of seats the Conservatives are going to win because we've taken a Labour vote that would never vote Conservative.
Do you know, absolutely
I'm much happier
most
seeing the
underrated politicians, Nigel Farage there, Hard left socialism has been crushed tonight. Great news. This is a video that everybody keeps sharing over. If you guys don't know this, this is
Nicola Sturgeon. They kind of make fun of her.
Thank you.
She,
There you go.
I wasn't sure if you'd remember her name.
It's right there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was okay. She was caught on Sky News when she learned the Lib Dem leader. Joe Swinson was this Lib Dem leader who ran on a really socialist justice warrior platform. She wanted to make gender neutral passports, and she just really was talking about like this tiny subsection of transgenderism, and that's what she ran on. And this is the Scottish National Party leader reaction to when Joe Swinson loses that seat, to the Scottish National Party. It's a kind of funny. Nigel says graceless and nasty from Sturgeon. So, you know, stopping the second referendum with Nigel, I think that is his biggest win tonight. You're not going to have a second referendum.
Right.
That is one thing you can be dead on sure the conservatives are not going to go for. And another thing we were talking about last night was that these new people that are in, these new seats, these 50 new seats are by Brexiteers.
Yeah.
You have just even if the Conservative Party, as Nigel Farage was saying, is mostly Remain, you put in 50 leavers.
Right.
At least that's what they were running on.
Well, and
that's what the people were voting them in for.
That's the thing. So I think people miss the fact that so many people, we just kind of assume that the Tory party, they were all for leave. Do you realize that Theresa May was a Remainer?
Exactly.
I mean, come on. So the fact that 50 seats have been taken by people that want Brexit to happen.
I don't have the video up because I watched it live with Sky News, but they went down into some of these Labour heartlands and they asked an always Labour voter and who voted for Boris. They say Boris. They don't say Boris Johnson. They don't say the Tories. They don't say Conservatives. They voted for Boris because they wanted Boris to get Brexit done. He could very well be in power for the next 5 years.
I know.
You could see the next 5 years an entirely different form of government in the UK than what you've seen. And you're not going to see the Marxism. You're not going to see the anti-Semitism. You're not going to see the kowtowing to Palestinian. You're not going to see the kowtowing to terrorism. You're going to get your government back. And in the process, what you're going to do, what you have done, last night we had Gert Wilders tweeting out a photo and says, next, the Netherlands next. I don't know if the Netherlands are quite behind Gert as much as the British people are, but everybody knew, everybody in the EU knew that so goes the UK, so goes the rest of the EU. There is no European Union without the UK. There literally is no European Union. You can't hold it together with France and Germany. Germany's government's on the rocks. Merkel's on her way out. Macron can barely hold, his country is teetering yellow vest protests every single weekend.
Do you have Trump's tweets?
Happy?
Yeah, I mean, Trump is just so excited. He's tweeting out about the like all the deals that are going to be made between the U.S. and the UK.
Celebrate Boris. Trump hails UK election result. Massive new trade deal after Brexit. U.S. President Donald Trump has hailed Prime Minister Boris Johnson's great win in Britain's general election, anticipating a British-American free trade agreement, which will put Britain's commercial arrangement with the European Union in the shade. He says this. Go ahead.
Congratulations to Boris Johnson on his great win, wrote President Trump, who is a pro-border, pro-sovereignty nationalist and has been a longtime supporter of the Brexit movement. Britain and the United States will now be free to strike a massive new trade deal after Brexit. This deal has the potential to be far bigger and more lucrative than any deal that could be made with the EU, he added. Celebrate Boris.
So literally, I'm going to bed and
it's like 1:30 or whatever.
I'm looking at my phone right before I go to sleep and I'm like, Donald Trump tweeted out 9 minutes ago at 1 a.m. So I guess I went to bed at 1:15 or whatever. And there's Donald Trump up at 1 a.m. watching these election results, tweeting this out. It was just a massively exciting evening. Watching everybody, just chew on it, to chew and macerate this idea that globalism is dying, and then have it percolate through the rest of the day and through the morning. And then everybody kind of woke up today, I believe, as the newscasters kind of woke up today and said, okay, we got to move on. Antifa was out in droves. We still had people saying we need another vote. Because that vote, the people weren't represented. This was the people's vote, by the way. This was the people's vote. This was the second referendum. Do you really want Brexit? This was, in essence, this was definitely a do you really want Brexit?
Right.
And people, and Labour voters were saying, we want Brexit so much, we'll vote for Boris Johnson. That's how much we mean it.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see where this goes. I have this Sky News interview here with Nigel, so let's play this.
Come in. There was some fear that the entrance of the Brexit.
Oh, and by the way, I wish we would play more Australian news. They're so level-headed. They follow UK politics. They follow European politics, and they're the most sane of them all. They have their own social justice warriors and their craziness, but their newscasters are most of them lean more conservative and sane.
Yeah,
like they don't.
I agree.
I watched them do a segment on like. They had a preschool had a pirate to celebrate Christmas because they didn't want Santa Claus there because it might offend some people, and they're like, again really.
Party in this election would split the Conservative vote and therefore deny the Tories a majority. That has not happened. Looking at seats like Workington, Peterborough, there was a 21% swing against Labor, and the Brexit Party picked up 20% of that.
Yeah.
You're obviously not surprised by that.
No, I'm not. But the trouble is, our media is dominated by London. This little square mile that we're in right now.
She just talked about some areas where Brexit Party picked up 20% of the vote.
Yeah, that's huge.
And they all basically have breakfast together, lunch together, speak to each other. They all sort of intermarry, and they all come from a similar background. And they just don't really get what happens once you get outside of London into the country. I knew in this election that having dragged the Conservative Party kicking and screaming, because don't forget, they were Remainers. The Tory Party was a Remainer party. I dragged the Tory Party kicking and screaming into a Brexit position. I knew that if they stood so...
That was the key. Do you understand? It's not about the elections, okay? What I saw, what we all saw, what we covered, and I don't know how many other people covered it. We watched Nigel. We covered Nigel probably more than anybody else because we just love this guy. But we watched him.
It sounded like you said we love this guy.
We just love this guy. We just love this guy. We watched him all summer long. Okay,
Yeah.
we watched what he did. We watched what he did with the creation of this Brexit party. What he just said, he said, we pushed the Conservatives into a Brexit stance. They literally stole his campaign slogans. They stole the colors. They stole the ideas. Everything Nigel did, then they went out and they even had Boris coming into some music and to like, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, they literally tried to take everything that Nigel was doing and to take it. And because they took the Brexit position, this is why they had the sweep.
Yeah.
And they would not have had to do that. They would not. Theresa May would still be prime minister if it wasn't for Nigel Farage. He is owed that. He's owed that credit.
True.
There would be what he did with those European elections. 6 weeks he created a party and he swept the EU seats. Is that something not to be talked about? The Conservatives didn't win a seat.
Yeah.
Well, maybe just a few. The Brexit Party swept the European Union seats.
Yeah.
In the Euro election.
Right.
Swept it. It's 6 weeks he had a party. 6 weeks! 6 weeks! Okay? And Boris Johnson saw that. The Conservatives saw Theresa May saw that. That's what made her step down.
Yeah.
That's what made, they knew that Theresa May could not lead the people through Brexit. They needed to have the Boris Johnson to lead the people through Brexit. Because of their snobbery and things like that, Nigel's kind of been pushed away. But that's okay because he pushed them into the right position.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's the most important and the most difficult thing to do.
Right.
They were going to deliver Brexit. The Conservatives would vote for them, and some Labour would vote for them. But I also knew there are lots of working-class Labour voters, former mining communities, people like that, who would not vote Conservative if you paid them. You know, their families have voted Labour since the end of the First World War in 1918, but they will vote for me. So I knew I could rip chunks out of Labour, and I said, you know, a month ago, I'm going to go to the north of England and take apart Jeremy Corbyn. And by doing that, by taking lots of Labour votes, Conservatives are winning seats with no increased vote share. So, you know, I have done them a huge favour on all levels.
I spoke to a Lib Dem MEP on the program just a short time ago. She said, when it comes to leader Jo Swinson, the reason that she didn't pop or set the world on fire was it was an element of sexism in the campaign. Is that right?
Complete and utter nonsense. The idea that Britain is a sexist country, goodness me, we had a female Prime Minister earlier this year. It's rubbish. And I think when people make excuses like that, it's pretty poor. The reason the Lib Dems have bombed is because Jo Swinson was unknown to the general public. They launched the campaign. They called it Jo Swinson's Liberal Democrats. Well, if half the country had never heard of her, what's the point of it? They bombed.
Also, it was interesting to talk to this Lib Dem MEP. What happens? They don't seem to be willing to give up the dream of staying in the European Union without the results coming in, but we can kind of see the writing on the wall here. Is there a fear that, politics remains as split as it is now, that Labor and the Lib Dems somehow team up, and in 5 years' time we're back here and they're promising to reunify you with the EU?
It's done. It's over. Yeah. The war is over. It's finished. We're leaving.
What happens if there's a shock to the economy? Do you think that argument could resurface in 5 years'
Do you know
time?
what? We have now had 4 major elections in 5 years.
Yeah.
3 general elections and a referendum.
We know what that's like.
For us, unprecedented in our history to have been through political crisis like this. Yeah. What we will now have is 5 years of relative stability at a time when the European Union and the Eurozone is going through Germany in particular, going through a bad time. So do you know what? Whatever happens economically around the world, comparatively tonight, we're in a much better place than the European Union, and that's why sterling's gone through the roof.
Yes, it has. Are you a unionist?
Oh yes, I am a unionist, but I'm concerned about the future row of Scotland that is coming. Scotland is going massively towards a separatist point of view.
Yep. You're going to see that Nicola Sturgeon is now asking for a Scottish referendum to leave Great Britain.
And the deal that David Cameron wants to do gives Northern Ireland a different constitutional status. It'll be within 3 days that the Scots are asking for the same thing. So,
well, that's right. I mean, for someone who, would argue that mandate...
Okay, so I wanted to kind of give you that. This was the war is over for Brexit here. Let's see. All right. We're going to cover Antifa in just a second. I think we played that. So this is Tatiana McGrath. If you guys don't know, she's a parody account. And
hi, I'm Jeremy.
She says, I genuinely don't understand how Jeremy Corbyn could have lost. He announced his pronouns and everything.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the Labour Party. My pronouns are he, him. Hi, I'm Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the Labour Party. My pronouns are he, him. Hi, I'm Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the Labour Party. My pronouns are he, him.
Because nobody cares about your stinking pronouns.
Everybody
no one
knows
cares.
You're he, him. Like, the fact that you announce it makes you look like a nincompoop. Like, a poopy nincompoop. Like, it's just embarrassing.
It's like this. Hello, my name is Michelle Svensson, and I have ears and a nose.
It is exactly like that.
And I have ears and a nose. I just wanted you to know that I have ears and a nose. Just so you know.
So here's the tweet from Donald Trump. Congratulations to Boris Johnson on his great win. The United States Britain and the United States will now be free to strike a massive new trade deal after Brexit. Celebrate Boris there. Let's see.
We're winning, and it's
we
so
are
fun.
winning. We are the winners. We beat the beaties and the winners and the winners. Okay, so here we'll go ahead and bring the rioting from the Antifa. This is Antifa rioting in London following the large electoral wins because we believe in the people's vote.
Listen to that, like, wicked laughing.
You might be on the wrong side of history. Those are your guys.
Well, and I kind of feel sorry for a lot of these Antifa people because it's not their fault that they were raised in a system that has left them unable to cope with reality.
That's true.
You know, it's like most kids are it's God's gift for children to be raised in a stable environment with truth and God and reality, and when you have that, you can grow up to become a stable adult. and they didn't get that.
So F. Boris, they said Antifa protesters clash with police outside Downing Street as furious leftists revolt. There's some more outside Downing Street. The healing the Boris Johnson wants has begun. You know, what Boris Johnson was talking about, that the healing begin is between normal people. You're never going to do any healing. Antifa, if they get in power, they will destroy you. You know, there's no healing with that. We're talking about the labor people, the working class people, and the conservative people, and we're just talking about healing the country and moving on with the Antifa doesn't count in the healing.
I know.
Like, their whole MO is destroy, destroy, destroy. Even if they get in power, all they want to do is destroy, 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 right? I think we heard that one. That was the same wicked laugh we heard before. Clashes with police also broke out on Parliament Street.
I'm kind of curious when these Antifa people get out and they make these displays. Do they not believe in democracy? Like, what do they expect to accomplish? Like, should an entire nation listen to you who are out of control over a democratic vote?
Exactly.
You know, like, I could understand if there was literal dictatorship, or maybe if they believed that there was voter fraud, right? Like, and maybe they do. Maybe that's going around amongst their circles. But when people actually go out and vote, you can't really... Like, okay, if Hillary Clinton had won our election, I would have been really upset, and I would have been very vocal about it, because I believe that there was voter fraud involved.
I believe there was, yeah.
But with this, we've seen zero evidence of voter fraud. Quite the opposite, actually. We've seen far more legitimate voting in the UK than what we have here in the United States. Mm-hmm. You know?
Somebody says, Boris Johnson can F off if he thinks he can heal me. I'm a European. I am not a one-nation Tory. I'm not a little Englander. I will never reconcile with the Tory government, who, after 9 years of hurt, has decided that the country needs to come together. So this is these anti-Boris protests, and they're just basically people who are sore losers. All right, here we have Mommy Merkel.
Here, BritBoss says, Michelle, these Antifa kids are indoctrinated by the teachers in the UK schools because all teachers unions in the UK are supporters of Labour and effectively demand the teachers vote Labour by using pressure.
Oh, sure. So we go to, where's our hats for Merkel?
Oh my gosh, where did you put them?
Here they go. So we got these from Dale Jones.
Okay, now we assumed they were from you, Dale. Then somebody came in the chat and was like wondering, like, no? You know.
Okay, so these are, what are they called again?
German.
Prussian and German military helmets. We have now decided, since you guys know we've got we have British hats, we've got our Swedish hats. This is now the hat we put on when we go to the bad guys. Okay? This is literally a German hat. So we are going to listen to Mommy Merkel here in our bad guy hat.
Were pleased at the fact that this was a clear outcome, that we're not again facing a situation with a hung parliament where you can't make headway in either direction. Of course, we all continue to deplore the fact that Great Britain has decided to leave the European Union, but in a way we have achieved some certainty now that the withdrawal agreement that we have been drafting will apply. And the fact that Great Britain is leaving the European Union is a reality. Well, the situation has improved when you compare it to the situation 3 months ago. And then, of course, there is professional recognition for the fact that Boris Johnson has succeeded in convincing the majority of the British citizens. The British system of election and voting is different from the German system, thus the victories tend to be more clear-cut. But as I said, I have to pay my respects here, chapeau, as the French say, that he has managed to achieve this result given the circumstances. And of course, given the situation we find ourselves in, it's good to have a Prime Minister who has a strong mandate and who is then able to negotiate with us. and thus have a chance to make
has
sure
his
that
no
what
goes,
divided
yes,
and drove
instead
the
of go.
wedge into Great Britain and its people, to unite that to a greater degree, because that is what I would wish to see happen.
Sure, that's what
to
you
allow
said.
a country like Great Britain to become and continue to be a good partner for the European Union. The gentleman right next to you. Thank you, James Crisp of the...
So I have to say that her speech concerns me a lot.
Why is she so conservative?
Why is she so hippie?
Boris Johnson. It's a good question.
I think that she may have
something up her sleeve. She knows that the deal that Boris Johnson has on the table is a Remain deal. Okay? So she is happy either way, but there is silver lining. The people want no deal Brexit. They do not want Boris Johnson's deal. So we shall see where this shall go. Our bad guy segment is over.
I really love these hats.
I do. Maybe we have bad guy in us.
Maybe we have bad guy in us.
Defeat Jeremy Corbyn.
All right. So where did it all go wrong? Where did it all go wrong? And Labour says, how did we lose all them seats? It was all Jeremy Corbyn's fault.
Yeah, well,
he had a lot on his shoulders, but come on, Labour. If you had pushed him towards Brexit, you would not have lost all those seats. You could have actually put Jeremy Corbyn in office. What is more important? Knowing that Brexit is going to happen, wouldn't it have better to have it be under Jeremy Corbyn for you all? That is the essence of the insanity. They don't know how to play tactically.
Okay, so I actually, let me pull up something here. So Horatio took today off of work. Because
was you having a party?
He stayed up all night long.
Yes, everybody did, I'm sure. Were you drinking too?
What he probably was.
You're so happy you had to, you had to celebrate.
But I asked him if Jeremy Corbyn had known that it was going to happen. Like, I said, so did Corbyn know that this was going to happen, do you think? And he says no. They're Marxists. They have zero introspection. Their whole attention 100% of the time is on their enemies. They are so obsessed that they not only cannot compute, it doesn't even enter their heads that they would need to compute that people don't necessarily see the world the way that they do. And I was just blown away by how accurate that is. And I think about it a lot, actually.
That's what's happening with the left right now over here in America.
Yeah, but I hadn't put it into those words even in my own head. And I was like, duh, they get so obsessed. Like, they just don't have any introspection. That's the word I was lacking. They don't ever look at themselves. They are always on their enemy. They are always so focused. It's what's happening to the Democrat Party here in the United States. It's what's happening with the impeachment process. And they don't realize that it's like every movie you see where the bad guy will keep fighting and fighting and fighting and not realizing that he's dying and he just can't stop the fight. He has no idea that what he's doing is actually his own self-destruction.
Cost you your job tonight?
Probably.
Absolutely. Did Jeremy Corbyn cost you your job tonight?
Does Jeremy Corbyn cost you your job tonight?
Probably.
Absolutely, completely. Defeat is in some respects a blessed relief.
Some of the 59 Labour MPs who've lost their jobs, clear where the blame lies. As for the leader who led his party into the wilderness, no great mea culpa.
Mr. Corbyn, do you take personal responsibility for the defeat? Mr. Corbyn?
Cries of support, not a universal sentiment.
If you guys didn't know this, Jeremy Corbyn said that he is going to resign from leadership of the Labour Party. He hasn't resigned yet, but he will not be, he said for sure he will not lead into another general election.
So we don't know how long he'll stay leader, though, because this could be like 5 years away.
Right.
He might not step down until right before the very next
party and its future direction started in our studios even before the night was out.
Corbyn was a disaster on the doorstep. Everyone knew that he couldn't lead the working class out of a paper bag. Now John's developed this momentum group, this party within a party,
I want them out of the party. I want momentum gone. Go back to your student politics. Momentum has, captured the energy and enthusiasm of the hundreds of thousands of people who've joined the Labour Party in support of precisely these policies.
From Mr Corbyn's side of the party, a determination that anything bar the leader is to blame.
What about Mr Corbyn's leadership? Did that play a role?
I don't think so. I think on the policy issues we won the argument, but we literally couldn't break through Brexit.
Are you going to stand aside, Mr Corbyn? Jeremy Corbyn would like to ensure he stays long enough to hand over to a successor in his mould. He won't be thrilled by these two not ruling themselves out.
What you said was, do you think that you could be the leader of the Labour Party? And of course the answer to that question is, of course somebody like me could be the leader of the Labour Party.
Would you like to be the next leader?
Well, I think this is the time for reflecting and understanding the result. I don't underestimate the size of the task ahead.
Jeremy Corbyn's advisor, Seamus Mill, not keen to explain his role in the disaster.
Why don't you accept responsibility for it, Mr Mill? It was your strategy. You're just running away.
That guy can't be blamed. Corbyn is Corbyn, like, regardless of...
But they don't see their era as over yet.
Advisors.
Romilly Weeks, ITV News.
Nobody wants you, Jeremy. Like, nobody, okay? He is the worst possible... But that one guy was right. Like, we couldn't break through Brexit, and that's their biggest downfall. Like, you actually said, maybe Corbyn could have won. If they had embraced Brexit and literally said, all right, the people have voted, this is what we're going to do.
Their best strategy that they could have done for the Conservative Party is to not embrace Brexit.
Exactly. I'm talking about their side. If they wanted
to have power, if they wanted to shape Brexit was going to happen.
Yeah.
They would have embraced Brexit. They could have won, and now they're done. And this is what's happening to the Democrats. If the Democrats had run on some issues, right? If the Democrats had been doing some good things, the Democrats could have shown that, you know what? Maybe Donald Trump is this and that and this and that, but we're going to get things done. We're going to take the higher ground. We're going to be the better people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, people would have flocked to them. But with this impeachment, they have literally soured every taste. You say Democrat, everybody in the country except for those with the Trump derangement syndrome, which is only 25% of the country. Donald Trump is going to, what they've done is even with the voting fraud, even with all the crazy things, even with the mainstream media, even with censoring us, that's all the different things that they did to the Conservatives. 2016 was a bellwether with Brexit happening, and then Donald Trump got elected. And everybody with a brain could know and see that this was going to happen. Right? And so with Donald Trump and the Republicans, I don't want to be a prophet. I'm just going to say it like it is. If Brexit is any indicator, the Republicans are going to sweep. They're going to sweep. Because what the Democrats have done here is the same thing that the Labor did over there. And you're going to have some Democrats that get in. But you guys, this impeachment thing, just like with the anti-Brexit thing, it is Pharaoh and God hardening their hearts to make them look so bad.
Exactly what it is.
So bad that Donald Trump looks like George stinking Washington. All of a sudden, and Mike Cernovich pointed out, Donald Trump hasn't been able to fulfill his promises. He's wishy-washy on a lot of stuff. He goes back and forth. He's hired a lot of neocons. He's had Rex Tillerson in, Mattis in and out, John Kelly in and out. You know, all these people. But the one thing that what happens when you have a common enemy and you see that enemy going after you and your leader, you put away all other issues. All other issues are to the side. And now even we have Mike Huckabee saying that because of the impeachment, he could run for a third term. It's in the Constitution.
What?
It's in the Constitution. Because of the impeachment, he could possibly run for a third term. If they mess up his one term and he's still in office, he could possibly run for a third term. It's really, he could possibly do.
Hang on. So if they impeach him in the House,
yes,
but not in the Senate,
he could run for a third term.
This is a joke.
This is not a joke.
It cannot be real.
It is real.
Oh my gosh.
With their worst results since the 30s, the political recriminations begin and the search for a new leader. Let's take a look at the result by numbers. With all seats declared, the Conservatives have 365 MPs. Labour has 203. fewer than Michael Foot won in the 1983 election. The SNP will have 48 seats and the Lib Dems just 11. All that means Boris Johnson will enjoy a majority of 80.
So they can't read this, but that's Conservative, Labour, SNP,
result.
Lib Dems. What's the PC one?
I'm not sure.
And then the Green Party.
Labour have lost 59. The SNP picked up 13 and the Lib Dems are down 1. Boris Johnson...
Oh, shoot. That's what I meant to do.
Obviously very...
You went to the other video. Go forward.
The Lib Dems are down 1. Their only seat they lost was their leader.
In us and in me, and we will work round the clock to repay your trust and to deliver on your priorities with a parliament that works for you.
Watched by his team, including advisor Dominic Cummings, he called on the nation to come together.
I frankly urge everyone on either side of what are, after 3.5 years, after all, an increasingly arid argument, I urge everyone to find closure and to let the healing begin.
Ian Levy, the Conservative Party candidate, 17,000.
It was a night of Tory wins in seats Labour thought it could not lose, like Blythe Valley. Bassett Law too, the drawn-out saga of Brexit driving Leave-supporting Labour backers into the arms of the Tories. But you couldn't, some said, park all the blame on Brexit.
It wasn't just about Brexit, it was also wider about the perceptions of the party and the leadership.
Has Jeremy Corbyn cost you your job tonight?
Yes, absolutely, completely. But I shouldn't be surprised in that because Jeremy Corbyn and I have very, very little in common. We just both happen to be members of the Labour Party.
Corbyn was a disaster on the doorstep.
Okay, so
everyone knew.
Back in number 10, Dominic Cummings has been leading the planning for domestic policy. Some in Whitehall worry what he might have in store. This morning, cameras caught him offering his hand to the Cabinet Secretary, Sir Mark Sedwill.
Irrefutable, irresistible, unarguable decision of the British people. And with this election, I think we've put an end to all those miserable threats of a second referendum.
He insists he wants to meld one nation. But looking at how Leave and Remain seats voted differently, you see how difficult that might be. If you look at the seats that voted strongly for Leave, 60% plus, there was a much bigger swing to the Tories here. If it was up to them, if all the seats behaved like these, the Tories would have 118 majority now. Look at seats that voted strongly for Remain in the referendum and the swings are different. If it was down to them, the Tories would be clinging on with a majority of 6. As it is, he's back with 80. A whole new voter base he must please. A timetable for EU trade negotiations many think unachievable. A massive majority that gives a leader authority to act. Not seen in this place for some years.
Well, earlier I spoke to the Conservative MP Gillian Keegan, and I began by asking her how Boris Johnson can unite the country when the election results suggest it is still bitterly divided.
I don't think the votes do suggest it's bitterly divided. I mean, you know, we've been talking about one nation conservatism. We actually represent every nation. We have more seats in Wales now. We have 6 seats still in Scotland. We've got seats in the northeast, the northwest. We've got seats in the Midlands. We've got seats all over the country. So we represent every part of the country. We represent every different type of people in the country as well, from every different socio-demographic. So that's the start. If you're talking about Leave and Remain, how you unite those people who still may feel they want to remain, then the answer there is to do a sensible Brexit, a good deal with the EU, and make sure the voices of the 4 nations, and particularly young people, are heard.
So we're going to stop.
All right. So on YouTube, Kevin says, I'm from the Northeast England. I voted Conservative in the Bishop Auckland seat. We now have a Conservative MP, and let me tell you, I'm so happy right now. This was a Labour seat since 1925.
The numbers that Barry was sending me last night, the numbers where the Labour seats were falling and falling. This wasn't 1 seat. This wasn't 2 seats. This wasn't 3 seats. 59 seats. Only 13 of those went to the Scottish National Party. They all went conservative. It is mind-boggling to see this
speaking
happening.
of Bravazza, he says the figure of people voting Tory last night, the number was 14 million votes. Voters voted the Tories to power last night. That's 3.5 million less than the Brexit referendum in 2016. Tories are Brexit party now. And I think that's huge. On Periscope, on Twitter, Tom says, the world is sick of communism and socialism. I'm proud of Britain. Story says, Merkel causes me to puke, and that we had just described snowflakes. That's from 11 minutes ago. Refocus as well said, Michelle, libs around the world are ill in the same ways. Refocus says, wouldn't be surprised if angry Labor copies Pelosi and opens impeachment hearings against Boris. I hope not.
They're already saying he's a Russian stooge.
Tom says, people are sick of atheism, homosexuality, open borders, and Britain showed that. Refocus says, just hope Boris doesn't forget his base like career politicians do and blow his big
I think he
chance.
probably will. But you know what, guys? I wanted you to keep an eye on something. When Donald Trump was elected, and he's made a lot of missteps, the globalist lost because he wasn't a globalist. He may make some missteps and do things that we don't like, but the globalism, it's the globalism, the hold, it's a satanic, demonic hold over people's minds, telling worldwide people what to do, and you need to have freedom. I want to go over some of these seats that were amazing that were lost. Labor's Dennis Skinner, the infamous beast of Bolsover, lost his seat to the Tories after an astonishing 49 years in Parliament. The former minor was a staunch socialist but a firm Brexiteer. One of only a very few in the Parliamentary Labour Party, and admired across the political spectrum for his independence of mind. And he lost his seat. The people did not believe in him because they didn't believe that his vote would sway. You have the former Labour Party Mayor of London, Ken Livingstone, saying that Boris Johnson's predicted landslide victory spells the end for Jeremy Corbyn, blaming the loss on the Jewish vote. If you didn't want to look anti-Semitic, you're not going to say it was the Jewish vote. The Jewish vote wasn't very helpful. Oh my gosh. Listen to this. The Tories take Tony Blair's former constituency. The Conservative Party has taken the constituency of Sedgefield, once held by a former Labour Prime Minister Tony Blair, signaling the scale of the swing against the left-wing party.
Wow.
They took and Corbyn is going to step aside.
Who knows when that will happen, though?
Let's see. The DUP Westminster leader loses the Belfast North. That was kind of Nigel Dodds, leader of the Democratic Unionist Party Westminster contingent, has lost his Belfast North seat. The pro-Brexit Socially Conservative Party, which favors maintaining the union between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, made a so-called confidence and supply arrangement with the Conservatives after Theresa May lost her parliamentary majority in 2017, but he lost his seat to a Conservative, but still. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and it's pretty powerful.
The weight that this gives, it's very difficult when votes happen in Parliament when the parties are so close, because it makes it difficult for the government, which if you're not from the UK, you don't understand what that means. They literally call the leading party the government, right? It makes it very difficult for the government to do anything that it promised the people that it would do, because the votes are so close. But with such a wide margin, and with all of these new seats being staunch Brexiteers who were elected, I think, like you said, you're going to see, it's not just about Boris Johnson and whether he's establishment or whatever.
Right.
Oh my. Okay, so we're going to need a...
Sorry. No, I don't even have to read it. I didn't even know that RT has that horrible article up. I'll just read down here. This is from George Galloway, who was a former MP. He says
they don't have him saying it because his accent is.
I know.
Amazing.
All my warnings have been vindicated. Galloway added, as if to prove Galloway's point, the news of a first seat seized by Conservatives came from the traditional Labour heartland, Blythe Valley, which they held ever since the constituency was formed in 1950. The EU will now have to abandon its foot dragging with regard to Brexit and realize that Britain is not going to change its mind, Galloway said. That idea is now a dead duck. Britain will leave 1 year from now. The former MP said that if Johnson is sensible, he will use the break from the EU to repair relations with the rest of the world, including Russia and China. And I would say no with China, but whatever. And the special relationship with the United States. And he doesn't blame Corbyn for everything. It was a Brexit. It was a Brexit thing. It's totally Brexit. Let's see. Lesson for Trump in UK election is pro-working class economic agenda wins. President Donald Trump should adopt a Johnson-style platform from Nigel-style platform from his 2020 presidential re-election 2020 presidential re-election campaign to unify working class and middle class voters on the issues of government administered services and immigration reform, said Washington Post columnist Henry Olsen. Very interesting. Olsen liked Thursday's general election to the United Kingdom to the 1980 presidential election. This is the 1980 election where working class Democrats who had been Democrats by heritage, who would never think about voting for Republican, decided en masse to give Ronald Reagan a try. Ronald Reagan won the working class areas. And I think that one of the things it is difficult to do, and I'm trying not to do it as much, is to look back at past elections and say that that's what's going to happen now. Because Donald Trump isn't Ronald Reagan and we're not in 1980. But at the same time, we can look at what's happening worldwide, and we can see that there is a populist movement, a nationalist movement, a movement to, hey, bring jobs back home. We've been spread too thin. We've been sending jobs over to China. People are, very interestingly enough, people are overweight and poor. Yeah. And they're barely scraping by because we've been sold a bill of goods and everything comes from China, and then our things are breaking and all these crazy things. Exclusive from Oritz, Boris Johnson election victory is bad news for Democrats. Boris Johnson's down, and that is by far truth. And so we don't need to go back in the annals of history to see that today that this is actually horrible news for Democrats and great news for the rest of the world. Boris Johnson's dominant election victory in the UK. This was, Michelle pointed this out, this wasn't a little election. This was a domination. This was a domination. This was people trying to wrap your brain around people who have never voted for a conservative said, I want out of the EU that bad. There I go. Right?
But more than that, though, it wasn't just people voting conservative that had never voted conservative before. The way that it worked was the Brexit party stole Labour's votes, which enabled the Conservative Party, who didn't get a massive uptick of votes, to actually have the majority. So really, Nigel was vital to what he did. And I think that it's a shame the way that the media is covering this. And I'm hoping that our viewers that are watching it from the UK are giving Nigel his kudos that he deserves, that you wouldn't be in this situation right now. There wouldn't be a huge conservative win right now.
Boris Johnson's taking the victory, but it was Nigel.
It was absolutely Nigel and his Brexit party.
Conservatives were going to vote conservative.
The fact that people can't see that, it just boggles my mind. They don't want to admit
lost by Labour were because people voted for the Brexit party.
Yeah.
And that's why the Labour seats were lost.
Yeah.
Okay. And some people did vote conservative.
I'm just saying, but by and large, you could maybe even if you just split it down 50-50, whatever, Nigel gets a huge amount of credit here.
So Johnson romped to a majority government in the biggest conservative victory since Lady Thatcher in the 1980s. The win was just the latest for the silent majority that wants good governance, in contrast to the bellicose activists who desire socialism. Like Midwestern voters in the U.S. in 2016, working-class voters in the economically distressed industrial areas of northern England, traditionally a Labour Party constituency, pulled the lever for a Conservative Party that will give them a hand up, not a hand out. The Labour Party was decimated, winning its fewest seats since 1935. The outcome should make Democrats nervous. The Labour Party candidate, Jeremy Corbyn, is a socialist. And AOC at the last minute was like, hey, vote for Jeremy, right? Probably didn't really help. is a socialist who promised to nationalize vast swaths of the UK economy. He enjoys support from adolescents, activists, and actors, but not ordinary workers. He's a dour and depressing person.
Curmudgeon.
In other words, he would be right at home in the Democratic presidential primary field. So the UK results also demonstrate how viewers want charismatic leaders in the mold of Johnson and Trump, who embody the national spirit. Warren, Sanders, and their travelers, by contrast, have about as much personality as the average government bureaucrat. Biden called Johnson a physical and emotional clone of Trump. That's a bit much, but their spirits are kind of there. And Trump is way smarter than Boris Johnson.
Oh my gosh.
He's so much smarter.
So speaking of the Trump Johnson connection there, here's my hope, and I want to be optimistic going forward because I don't like Boris Johnson and I don't trust him, and I do believe that he sways with where the power lies. And I think the optimism here is that Donald Trump is such a large character. And even though on the world stage, you know, some may make fun of him, they actually all respect him and they all fear him and they all revere him. And so I'm hoping that Boris Johnson will actually create policy to try to impress Trump.
Yeah. Corbyn ally admits Brexit stole Labour votes. Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer, John McDonnell, admitted that Labour lost votes because of left-wing Leavers switched to the Brexit Party. Speaking to Sky News on Friday morning, the Marxist said the party faced its worst defeat since 1935 because Brexit dominated the whole debate. We couldn't break through on the issues, so I think it was Brexit. And if you look at what's happened in most of the seats, particularly in the northern seats, the votes showed shifts have been from Labour to Brexit Party rather than the Tories. We just couldn't get through the Brexit argument, basically. Wow. Mr. McDonnell denied that Jeremy Corbyn's leadership or his policies were to blame. Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage stood down his candidates in target Tory seats, but continued to challenge Labour in the Leave heartlands in the North Midlands and Wales. Speaking to Sky News, he said, I know there were a lot of Labour voters, so I am so excited. I'm so excited for all of you guys. This is a great win. It's against globalism. It's against the European Union.
Do you want me to play the Turley video?
Maybe we'll save that for Sunday, because we'll still have to cover this again on Sunday. So we'll save that for Sunday. We're going to move on to the U.S. because we have the day that you guys, Friday the 13th, celebrated your victory. We had our Judiciary Committee take a break in the middle of the night, wait till the morning, specifically so that they could air it so more people would see it, to vote to bring articles of impeachment against our very own president. So we have we're kind of going back and forth here in the crazy world. But actually, before I'm done, I want to bring up some tweets. Just to kind of see I want you to see where other people are.
So as Kevin says, Scotland had once in a generation to leave the UK. Now they want another.
Right.
David Nemeth says globalism equals communism. Stuart the Brit says Boris will try and keep the future talks with the EU in back rooms and out of the public domain while ripping this country off. I kind of agree with you there. I'm hoping for better. Mikey B says, watch Boris tackle in the football for England against Germany. You'll like him then. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens as we move forward. But I think that Brexit is going to happen and we don't have to worry about a second referendum, and that's huge.
So here we have somebody with a little blue check mark saying, liberal world when they are not in power. Democracy is in danger. Constitution is at threat. Elections are rigged. Post-truth world. UK election baiting. When the liberals aren't in power, everything is bad. Here we have the EU, Brexit, Scotland. I don't know exactly what this one is supposed to mean. Key point in the UK election, getting lost in the fray. Conservatives got less than 44% of the votes. Yet they took 56% of the seats. Oh, tyranny of the minority. I don't know if Jill Stein is quite right about that. You vote in your constituency because that's what you do. That's the whole point. Let's see. Here's a UK voter intention by age, so you can see the Labour votes there, younger and then older. I think people are just smarter. They realize what socialism is, and this is what I wanted you to see. Abandoning ship, Gert Wheeler says, Nexit next. So here we have the EU as going
I'm
over.
hoping that is
Merkel
correct.
at the top of the staff, regulations, globalist, and then Brexit. And I remember saying, sail away, Britain. Sail far, far away.
Smile Point on Periscope says, agree that Johnson is totally unreliable, but hopefully his ego will lead him to emulate Trump.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
So I have Joe Scarborough calls on Dems to slow down impeachment. It would be Chinese water torture. Very interesting why he would say this. Friday, ahead of the House Judiciary Committee's vote to pass articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump, MSNBC Morning Joe host Joe Scarborough, why we care what he says, I don't know, but I do sometimes, suggested House Democrats should slow down the impeachment process, saying that if he had his way, it would be like Chinese water torture. Scarborough said the Democrats should call the Republicans' bluff and slow the process down over weeks and months by bringing out the likes of Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels to testify against Trump. He, who the MSNBC host added has committed crimes. It would play out. It would be Chinese water torture over weeks and months. And Donald Trump, you know what I'd do? I'd be like George Bush in '88 campaigning against Dukakis. We're going to have the environmental week, except for the Democrats. It's going to be the Stormy Daniels week. We're going to just bring Stormy Daniels in. But I don't think she would come in. I honestly don't think she would come in. And that's not why you can bring in somebody. If you have articles of impeachment, you have to show a real crime. And just because you don't like something that somebody may or may not have done doesn't mean that you can impeach the president. And
well, little known fact is that she came back and recanted what happened.
Well, little known fact. But Nancy Pelosi even came out to say, oh, by the way, let's see. Oh my gosh, this is, I don't know if I have it up or not, but Nancy Pelosi said, we've been working on this for 2.5 years. This isn't quick. So we're like, wait a minute. So these are the articles of impeachment that are just somebody said obstruction of Congress, and they didn't use bribery. Somebody was saying that it's unconstitutional. Not somebody, but this is an unconstitutional impeachment because they're not actually saying that he committed anything that the Constitution has lined out as high crimes and misdemeanors or bribery.
So here's the deal. They're trying to bring forth articles of impeachment on the Ukraine telephone call.
Right.
They don't have any other leg to stand on but the Ukraine phone call.
Right.
So when Nancy Pelosi comes out and says, we've been working on this for 2.5 years, it's not quick, that is equivalent to her saying, we have been trying to find something to impeach him on for 2.5 years.
Right.
Okay. And we have been working on getting him impeached because we don't like him.
Right.
Trying to make something up, anything stick. And the fact that they can come out now and just boldface say that.
Here we have it.
One of the biggest criticisms of the process has been the speed
Here she goes with the tea
at which the
butter.
House Democrats are moving. If this is, but seriously though, seriously.
It's been going on for 22 months, okay? No, 2.5 years, actually.
There has been some criticism, though, I will say, about whether or not you should move forward before the end of the year or wait for the courts. Why do you think now is the time to move?
Well, I think we're not moving with speed. This, was it 2.5 years ago that they initiated the Mueller investigation?
You're not impeaching him on the Mueller investigation. They don't know. They
It is not about speed, it's about urgency. One of the charges against the President of the United States is that he was violating his oath of office by asking a foreign government to intervene in our election.
2.5 years ago? No,
Undermining
honey
the
child. You're saying that this happened in August. So yeah, it's quick.
Of our elections. If we did not hold him accountable, he would continue to undermine our election. Nothing less is at stake than the central point of our democracy, a free and fair election.
Which is what they're literally undermining a free and fair election.
Not disrupted by foreign powers. And our founders were very concerned about that.
Stop quoting the founders.
And in their wisdom, they gave Congress, the House of Representatives, the opportunity, not the opportunity because I don't see it that way.
No, yeah, you do.
The path to correcting that as impeachment. It is not with any speed. This has been going on for a very long time.
Done. I'm done. I'm done. This has been going on for a very long time.
Unbelievable. They can just come out and say this stuff. And here's how they get away with it. They get away with it because they own the mainstream media. Because if the media were to be covering these lies and bias,
if a Republican had said that and they were trying to impeach Obama,
you have a little something on your face.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get on to something else. Mike Huckabee asserts Trump eligible for third term.
This is the best thing I have ever
Mike
heard.
Huckabee is a master troll, and he has trolled the heck out of Democrats on Thursday. Touting a TV appearance, Huckabee said he'd explain how President Trump will be eligible for a third term due to the illegal attempts of Comey, Dems, and media et al. Attempting to oust him as POTUS. He added, so that's why I was named to head up the 2020-24 election. Liberals lost it. That's not how the Constitution works, you throttled bottom. He says, I'll be on Sean Hannity tonight. Look up the 22nd Amendment of the United States Constitution, another wrote. Another accused the former Arkansas governor of being drunk. How much have you had to drink? A couple hours after his first tweet, Huckabee decided to troll a little more. Greatly honored to be asked to chair the real Donald Trump re-election campaign for POTUS in 2024. Gives me lots of times to plan. By then, the Dems will no longer be a political party in America, replaced by the new Whig Party, he wrote. They still didn't get the joke. That's called a dictator, wrote one tweeter. Trump forever. No, it's awesome. It's no, not awesome. Illegal, wrote another. Liberals have been repeatedly warning that Trump will try to serve a third term as president. S.E. Cupp, who hosts a weekend CNN show called Unfiltered, took to Twitter Sunday to pass along the conspiracy theory. Actor Robert De Niro also told the Daily Beast last month he's going to be history at one point, though he'd love to be president for life.
Oh my gosh.
So
this is so great.
Trump has he has stoked the flames. But the 22nd Amendment says a person can only serve 2 elected terms as president of the United States. What's funniest is that all the liberals seem to be giving Trump a second term right out of the chute.
Okay, but you didn't really lay out.
No, you can't have a third term.
You said that he said
well,
because.
I was just kidding.
Okay, all right.
Funny because that's what they were saying. That's what's going on Twitter last night, and everybody was like, "No, it's in there." It's
okay, but here's the deal. In all actuality,
they should actually give.
Well, no, that they are ensuring
a second term.
Well, and conservative win for the foreseeable future.
Right.
Okay, I mean, you could look at Don Jr.
Right.
as an option. I mean, there's so many people out there that I could list off that would be easily elected in 2024. It's just going to be like a wave that we ride.
Right. I don't know what's going to happen in the Senate. I cannot predict it because we have Lindsey Graham, who has taken money from the Ukraine, probably doesn't want his dirty laundry to be aired, has said they're just going to take the vote. He's going to get through and we're just going to get on with the country, get on. But Trump wants to bring forth witnesses. He wants to hold the Democrats' feet to the fire. He wants to make this happen. Democrats and CNN are outraged after Mitch McConnell says he will work with President Trump on the sham impeachment trial. On Thursday, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told Sean Hannity he would coordinate with the Trump administration lawyers on what evidence to introduce during the Senate impeachment trial and whether or not witnesses will be called. So we'll see how this plays out. I don't know yet.
Make a decision about the way forward. And everything I do during this, I'm coordinating with White House counsel. There will be no difference between the president's position and our position as to how to handle this to the extent that we can. We don't have the kind of ball control on this that a typical issue, for example, comes over for the House. If I don't like it, we don't take it up. We have no choice but to take it up, but we'll be working through this process, hopefully in a fairly short period of time, in total coordination with the White House counsel's office and the people who are representing the president in the well of the Senate.
So
that's pretty big. I mean, that kind of lays to rest all of this rumor about what's going to happen. What's going to happen is what Trump wants to happen. Mm-hmm. And we should trust that.
To be Ambassador Sondland, would that be, in your view, how the federal rules of evidence would apply here?
Well, exactly how we go forward, I'm going to coordinate with the president's lawyers. So there won't be any difference between us on how to do this. You raise the issue of what if you have witnesses. The president's counsel may or may not decide they want to have witnesses. The case is so darn weak coming over from the House. We all know how it's going to end. There's no chance the president's going to be removed from office. My hope.
So we have that. It's all
so the theory
joke.
being, if they just kind of let it go away peacefully, then Trump will have a bigger shot of getting reelected. And it's like, I kind of want to go like, hold up. Do you all realize that there is no Democrat candidate out there that holds a candle that can come anywhere close? Trump has the most comfortable margin that I think a president going into a reelection could possibly have.
Yeah. And CNN's upset because they're all like, President Trump cited the terms of his trial and all this stuff. Well, it's a sham. And I don't really want to go into what the House Democrats have done because it drives me crazy. But the minority has been denied every step of the way.
Yep.
To bring in witnesses, time, and there is a House rule that says that they're allowed to have a day to bring witnesses. Jerry Nadler, he's like 5 feet tall. He's like a little Oompa Loompa walking down. No, it's true. And you can call people like that when they act like that.
Okay.
When they have destroyed our country.
When they act like an Oompa Loompa.
And he walks like an Oompa Loompa and he acts like an Oompa Loompa, then he is an Oompa Loompa. And so I have video where he's got a Democratic donor sitting next to him telling him when to hit the gavel. He's like,
did you play that? Yeah, because I saw it too and I watched it several times and it's kind of like, oh my gosh. What's really disturbing about Nadler is that I don't think he's healthy.
No.
He has passed out before. They kind of said he kind of like fell asleep. No, he is not doing well. And when you see him with the gavel there, he looks kind of like, this is kind of him, like kind of slumped over, like not really able to pay attention and do his job well. I think he's slipping in his mind.
Watch the Democrat donor instructs Jerry Nadler to bang the gavel to stop Matt Gaetz from making excellent points.
I'm going to make us really dark so that you guys can see it.
Is the person that should come and present it, and you weren't elected by anybody, and you're here. Is the person that wrote the report, is the person that should come and present it. And
you're going to have to play it several times so that they can see it.
Is the person that wrote the report, is the person that should come and present it. And you weren't elected by anybody, and you're here. Is the person that wrote the report, is the person that should come and present it. And you weren't elected by anybody.
And then you've got Nadler, who's kind of like looking at this guy like, oh yeah, I gotta do this. He just told me to.
It's so insane. All right, so the minority was supposed to get a day to call witnesses. So Jerry Nadler's handlers tell them to tell everybody. Well, the rules say that you have to have a day, but doesn't have to say when the day is. We'll let you have your day after we vote on impeachment. That is as evil as you can get. They'll have their day to call witnesses after impeachment is voted on in the House.
But that doesn't make any sense because...
No,
when you look at intent, though, like when you look at intent, if it doesn't specify that you have to have the day,
it doesn't matter to these people. They are so incredibly
so what they could push it off for 10 years from now after Trump is in office, out of office.
I know.
That's like a blatant lie. Like it's beyond a blatant lie.
It is beyond a blatant lie.
They shouldn't be able to get away with that.
They don't have anybody above them. That's the whole point. I have some good news for you. Rudy Giuliani's all smiles here.
I can't stand him, though. I gotta tell you.
Grinning like a Cheshire cat, his standard smile. For the past several weeks, the personal attorney for President Trump has been in Ukraine, interviewing witnesses and gathering evidence to shed light on what the Bidens were up to during the Obama years and to get to the bottom of the claims that Kiev interfered in the 2016 U.S. election in favor of Hillary Clinton. As Lindsey Graham, he does not want it out there that the Ukraine interfered in our election in the favor of Hillary Clinton. He has enlisted the help of former Ukrainian diplomat Andrei Telinhenko to gather information from politicians and ask them to participate in a documentary series in partnership with ONAN, which will make the case for investigating the Bidens as well as Burisma Holdings.
It's not ONAN.
OAN.
I think it's just One American News Network. You can just say OWN. OWN. But it's not ONAN.
My next question is there more damning information on the Democrats in Congress, specifically the Democrats like Adam Schiff in the House Intelligence Committee, or Joe Biden and his family that's going to drop? Because I ask this because we have seen over the course of the past 2 weeks that every 24 hours something new, usually something that's negative about the Democrats or Biden, has come unearthed. Is there more to come?
Well, there's plenty more to come in the lawsuit, but I can't reveal it now because we're about 10 days away from really compiling what you would call a working draft and then making a decision. But I can tell you there's more on Joe Biden to come, sure. I'll give you a little hint. Now, these are things I haven't investigated. I'm telling you things I read. The part about Burisma and Ukraine and colluding in the election, I have investigated. I have the corroboration. I've never been asked for it. When the Secretary of State told me the State Department was going to investigate this, maybe they did, but they never asked me for the rest of my material. And as far as I know, they never questioned the key witnesses. Now, they could have, and I don't know that. So I have to be careful about that, and I hope I'm wrong about that.
Well, what is the corroboration that you have?
Corroboration I have are other prosecutors saying the same things as the first prosecutor said. Namely, I mean, it's as clear as the nose on your face that Biden bribed Poroshenko to get his son out of trouble. As clear as that. I mean, you'd have to be a fool not to know that. You'd have to be a fool to think he did it because he was worried about a corrupt prosecutor. When he had a scheme like this with his son, he's really worried about a corrupt prosecutor in Ukraine? And you want me to believe that? I mean, this is the guy that, you know, took on the mafia, the Teamsters, Milken, Boesky.
I mean, Biden did admit it himself on video. We have Biden's own words saying this.
So, according to the Journal, Giuliani will present findings from his self-described secret assignment in a 20-page report. Trump and Giuliani say then Vice President Biden engaged in corruption when he called for the ouster of the Ukrainian prosecutor who had investigated the Ukrainian gas company where Hunter Biden served on the board. The Bidens deny wrongdoing, and ousting the prosecutor was a goal at the time of the U.S. and several European countries. Note the Wall Street Journal's use of the straw man when they write the allegations of the Ukrainian election interference are at odds with findings of the U.S. intelligence community. Apparently, the three journalists who collaborated on the article didn't get the memo that two countries can meddle at the same time, nor did any of them read the January 2017 Political article, Ukrainian Efforts to Sabotage Trump Backfire, which outlines how Ukrainian government officials conspired with a DNC operative to hurt the Trump campaign during the 2016 election, a move which led to the disruptive ouster of campaign chairman Paul Manafort. This guy here, I guess, is Telizenko, the former diplomat, tells the Journal that the plan for the series was conceived during the impeachment hearings as a way for Giuliani to tell his side of the story. The former Ukrainian diplomat flew to Washington on November 20th to film with Giuliani, while in early December he accompanied America's mayor to the Kiev trip, stopping in Budapest, Vienna, and Rome. Upon his return to New York on Saturday, Giuliani says he took a call from President Trump while his plane was still taxiing down the runway. What did you get? Trump asked. More than you can imagine, answered the former New York mayor, who gained notoriety in the 80s for taking down the mob as a then federal prosecutor. According to the 77-year-old Giuliani, Trump instructed him to brief Attorney William Barr. Soon after, the president then told reporters at the White House, I hear he has found plenty. Rudy has been working on this project for a while. In late January, he conducted phone interviews with the former Ukrainian prosecutors Shokin and Lusenko. On the call was George Boyle, Giuliani's chief operating officer and director of investigations. Boyle started as an NYPD beat cop in 1987 and was promoted to detective, eventually joining the Special Victims Squad. In short, the ever-grinning Giuliani has some serious professionals working on this. When he believes he's right, he loves taking on fights, said another Giuliani friend. That said, Giuliani's efforts have not gone off without a hitch. In October, two associates, I guess, I don't know, did something. I'm not going to go into all that. But we'll see where Giuliani goes with this.
Now, we do know that Barr is opening an investigation.
Yeah.
Into at least Hunter Biden's dealings.
Yeah. In the impeachment hearings, witnesses accused Mr. Giuliani of conducting a shadow foreign policy and orchestrating the ouster of the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. He was described as problematic and disruptive, and in a testimony that cited former National Security Advisor John Bolton likened to a hand grenade that's going to blow everybody up. Mr. Giuliani has said he kept the State Department apprised of his efforts and he was working at the president's behest. Just having fun while the Dems and friends try to destroy my brilliant career, he wrote in a text message. while conducting the investigation. So this, a Democrat caller, after watching the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, I'm just disgusted. So this is on C-SPAN here. Listen to this.
Thanks for the call. And by the way, you can listen to us on the free C-SPAN radio app as well. But thank you for sharing your views. We'll go to Jason, who's joining us from Alabama on to the Democrats line. Go ahead, please. Jason, you with us?
Jason?
Yep, you're on the air. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, after watching the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, that was the most disgusting thing I've seen. And now we have this impeachment crap. My party has now made me a Democrat for Trump. I'm going to back Donald Trump all the way. And when I get my Democrat ballot, whoever my candidates are, I'm going to write in the Republican candidate and turn it into and we'll see what happens then.
Wow. People are upset.
People can see it for themselves. I think the Democrat Party, these coastal elites have their head in the sand. They think that they can just pull the wool over the eyes of their constituents, and you can't.
So if you did not see our Russian supercut, Michelle's going to play for you. Not here, but live somewhere.
That's right. I was just going to do it on Periscope.
So are we going to, and is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, but Mom wants everybody to watch it from Brighteon so it gets more views.
Well, I want everybody just to watch it.
Okay.
So I just want people to watch it. You can watch it on Brighteon. Maybe put the link in there, but I watch it. We did a little skit on Russian.
Well, you didn't. You were just being funny.
It was a skit. It's a skit in our show. Impromptu skit. Talking about how in the dossier, the part about the PP-gate, a lot of this stuff was barroom rumor. And the IG report blew it out of the water that this dossier was truthful at all. Okay? There were sub-sources and sources who said, I'm making this up. It was a joke. It was barroom rumor. Okay? So, in the light of that, here's a supercut of the media telling Americans that the dossier was true.
Parts of the now infamous dossier on Trump have proven to be true.
I know the history of the dossier, but it hasn't been discredited. In fact, it's been the opposite. It's been corroborated. Much of the dossier has been corroborated.
This discredited dossier, which was paid for,
Your intel community has corroborated all of the details in there. The meeting.
Some of the substantive content of the dossier, we were able to corroborate in our intelligence community assessment, which from other sources, in which we had very high confidence.
We know that with the FISA application, the relevant parts of Christopher Steele's dossier were corroborated.
That if the application included information from the dossier, it would only be after the FBI had, in fact, corroborated information through its own investigation.
We also know that as time goes on, more and more parts of the Steele dossier get corroborated.
So when the president just refers to it as fake dossier, that is false.
I don't think that is the accurate characterization for the entirety of the dossier.
Clear, investigators have corroborated part of the dossier.
Dossier has been corroborated by the intelligence community.
U.S. investigators have corroborated some of the allegations in that dossier. Although
We do know that parts of it have been corroborated.
It's not been corroborated, but it hasn't been disproven either.
Is there anything in the dossier that has been disproven?
No.
But not one thing has been disproven. No major thing from the dossier has been conclusively disproven.
To date, none of it has been disproven, and whole big parts of it are holding up.
The dossier holds up well. None of it has been disproven.
All of the allegations in it, I don't know that anything has been disproven.
It's a fact that none of it, not one word, has been disproven. In fact, a lot of it turned out to be right on the money.
Former high-ranking intelligence officials have told us on the record that there is nothing in the Steele dossier that they know to have been disproven.
Much of the dossier has been corroborated. Do you not accept that?
I don't agree with that, Alice.
This is our reporting, and this is what crime-fighting agencies have said, that the FBI would not have just taken a dossier to the FISA court and used that as their predicate for the.
So, man in Russian bar says, hey.
Do you want me just to replay it?
No, I just tell you. Man in Russian bar say, hey, Christopher Steele, come over here. I got something to tell you. I heard that Trumpy Trumpy went to a room Obama stayed in an hotel and got the prostitutes and they peed and they called them the golden showers on the bed. That's what I heard. I heard it. Did you hear the Trumpy pee? I did pee-pees on the bed. And then later on it comes out to be that I.G. Horace went and talked to that source. Talked to the guy that Christopher Steele said that. And he says, oh no, we made that up. It was ballroom joke. It was, what? This whole thing is about ballroom joke? I make joke. And now we have World War 5 and 10 and 20. And now Cold War. And now Putin has me. And now, oh dear God. Oh, I make no more Russian jokes again. You Americans, you're not funny. You don't get the jokes. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's what that's all about. PP jokes. Trump on Pelosi, they dumped her yesterday. She was working it in other words 2 years before she spoke, and blah, blah, blah. So here's Trump saying.
It's a hoax, and Nancy Pelosi knows it. By the way, they duped her yesterday. She was on an interview, and she said, we've been working on this for 2.5 years. So she was working on it, in other words, 2 years before we ever spoke to Ukraine. She said, we've been working on impeachment for 2.5 years.
That's good.
And the reporter was shocked when they got this answer because it showed she's a liar. So it's a very sad thing for our country, but it seems to be very good for me politically. And again, those people, because I watch some of the dishonest fake media, they're saying, well, the polls have remained the same. No, the polls have not remained the same. I think you understand that, John. The polls have gone through the roof for Trump. Because people, especially with independent voters, and especially in swing states, I could show you numbers that nobody has ever seen numbers like this before. So the impeachment is a hoax. It's a sham. It started a long time ago, probably before I came down the escalator with the future First Lady. Started a long time ago. And when you look at the IG report, and you look at these horrible FBI people talking about we got to get them out, insurance policy.
So there's Trumpy.
And he admitted it. He has even said, this has been really great for me politically. My numbers are soaring through the roof. Just because they quote false polls, just because they say that his improvement ratings are down. Approval. Why? I couldn't get it out. That's why I tried twice.
Just was like,
improvement. I've just made up a word. Let me have it.
Nancy
his improvement ratings are up.
Nancy needs her sister next
but
to her.
Just because
Nancy, that's how we say. Nancy, top of the teeth.
That is because they say that his approval ratings are down doesn't make them so. And so when people go to vote, that will be the ultimate poll.
So Mayor Pete, and I'm not going to cover all this, but
Baby Pete,
Mayor Pete, he's got some people who are mad at him because he has billionaires. Like he's meeting with them in secret, but that's neither here nor there.
It's not like you said mating.
Meeting. Okay, but he had a fun little chant that he had people do. So Michael Bloomberg, not to be undone, has a Moves Like Bloomberg chant that he did. It's got 3 million views on Twitter. These are Mike Bloomberg supporters. Now listen, it gets really good. Here.
I have not seen this. Wait, can we make it big again? Where did it go? Improvement is a real word, Stuart the Brit says. Thank you. You're my friend.
I'm going to try this again. They don't want you to play it. It's so embarrassing.
No, I want to see it.
You do want to see it.
Do you want me to play it? Do I?
Here we go. Listen.
Bloomberg.
Who's the guy in the background that's saying it like this? Bloomberg. I mean, this is such an uppity song. Play it again.
We will. Oh, we will. Bloomberg. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it.
No, it's like a parody.
Bloomberg.
It's like they're making fun of it, though. Bloomberg. Why didn't they get the girl? Like, why don't have the guy's voice be like the strong one?
Let's
like,
let them hear it again. Let's let him. Let's let them hear it. Let's see. You're not gonna hear it. It's gonna.
No, they heard it.
It's stuck. Bloomberg.
That's like the worst guy to get to be closest to the mic.
Bloomberg.
The enthusiasm is out the roof there. If you've ever been to a Trump rally and people just randomly do like the wave, it's awesome.
Wow.
So Hillary Clinton tweets this out. Make
really
sure
fun.
your family and friends see the evidence for themselves.
They're going to do it again?
The president asked a foreign power to interfere in the 2020 election for his own political gain. Americans deserve free and fair elections. He must be held accountable. TrumpImpeachment.com. Kimberly Strassel from the Washington, from the Journal.
Wall Street Journal.
Yeah. Make sure family and friends read the IG report. Clinton didn't just invite foreign influence in the 2016 election, she paid for it. Her team funneled the Russian dossier lies to the FBI for her political gain. Americans deserve free and fair elections if only the press would hold her accountable.
And that's true.
And it's hard for me to get it out of my mouth when what they're doing is so wrong. Okay? What Hillary Clinton is saying is Donald Trump had tried to get foreigners to interfere in the election
when she literally paid for it.
That is what, and then she and the FBI have been using this foreign Russian dossier thing to interfere in our elections and interfere in our entire country for the past 3 years. I can't say that without screaming it at the top of my lungs to try to get across to people how insane that is. Lord Jesus, please help me get that across to people, because I'm not going to scream into the microphone how insane it is. Tell them.
Oh, okay, so let's say you have something, an item, okay? And then you are accused of having stolen that item by the person that actually stole it.
Yeah.
They're like, you stole that, you stole it, you stole it. And they just keep shouting, you stole it, you stole it.
Right.
All the while, they are quite literally the thief.
Exactly. That's it.
And what would a thief do? A thief would go and accuse somebody else, their enemy,
but it's
of
almost
doing
worse
what
than
they
that.
did.
Somebody murdered your relative, and then they are accusing you of doing it.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to end on this story. It's really sad. We're going to play some Christmas music.
Oh, no! I don't want
this
a
went
sad
viral.
story.
It's totally shocking.
This is about that old lady that you just showed.
No, it's not.
Okay,
it's
that was an advertisement.
This is a 14-year-old boy
not being bullied.
And that's actually
we have to
not
watch
coming
it.
In.
Good. I don't want to see it. Can we just tell them about it? Okay, a kid was bullied by a lot of other kids and beat the heck out of them.
Wearing a Trump hat.
Okay, you told us about this, though, last week.
No, this just happened last night.
It happened again.
Yeah, this girl, the violent leftist
happening.
teacher attacks high school girl, rips women for Trump pin off her shirt.
And then he puts it on upside down. No, this is a story that is a repeat. It has already happened to another student.
Yes. This is
multiple times,
and he was beat up with kids on the bus here. I'm gonna try to find the Gateway Pundit article.
Okay, so warning: you could try this as a newscaster, Leah. You could try saying this: "Hey guys, if you don't want to see this, you might want to turn us off for a second." That's the responsible thing to do.
Trump kid beat up.
You can't just force people to watch. Oh, that's awful. I'm not even gonna watch it. Don't watch if you don't want to watch it.
This kid was beat up on the bus by these crazed monsters because he supported Donald Trump. The kid's lawyer told him to go ahead and put it on...
Who recorded it?
I don't know. Kid gets beat up like a rag doll for wearing a Trump hat. This person says, as a Trump hater and Bernie supporter, I think that this is wrong and needs to stop.
It's unbelievable.
It is. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
So
he was beat up The left has radicalized entire groups of people into brain-dead, violent drones.
I think it's a little bit more difficult for me to watch that video than others because I was beat up on the bus once. As a very small child by I think I was like 7. And I was beat up by like a 12-year-old boy for throwing an eraser. And like I was literally beat up on the bus. So it is a horrific experience.
And it was a multi-racial bus, you could say.
Our bus was.
On the way to government housing. The boy's mother explained on Twitter that she believed the attackers were motivated by a Trump 2020 campaign hat that her son had previously worn to school. She said that the boy stopped wearing the hat due to harassment, but the bullying continued. To be clear, my son bought his Trump 20 hat with his own money at the flea market a few weeks ago. He was proud to wear it. He wore it to school, but due to immediate bullying, he put it away and didn't wear it to school again. Sadly, the damage has already been done, and he is now a target. From that point on, he was steadily messed with. He was getting hit, tripped, and verbally abused on the bus, but it all came to a head yesterday on his bus ride home. The mother took a photo in the hospital where the boy was evaluated for head injuries and released after the vicious 5-on-1 attack. She said that when Tyler was examined after school, nurses found older bruising along with new injuries. He didn't tell us about the bullying, but they took it to a new level yesterday and are now learning. We are now just learning what he was going through. The video of the attack shows at least 3 females and 2 males raining blows down upon his head as he tries to protect himself from the attack. Tyler's mother says she believes the attack was racially motivated. Tyler is white and the assailants appear to be black. Plain and simple, this was a hate crime and attempted murder, according to the state of Florida, since it was over 3 kids that jumped him, and these kids are older and larger. She said that she had contacted the police and school district and that the children involved had been suspended from school.
Wow. So I think it was Edward on here in the chat that said to homeschool. And here's the thing. Again, I don't blame these kids as perpetrators. I blame our society. I blame their parents. I blame the public school system. That's who I blame. These are children, okay? Children don't just grow up as monsters. They have these feelings because of the things that people are saying. And so when you have a society, when you have an AOC or any crazed leftist out there, I think it was Cory Booker and Maxine Waters, where they all come out and they all say punch a Nazi. You have to, these people are, if you as a child literally believed that somebody was the equivalent of a murderer, okay, or they had done the ultimate of an injustice, okay, then you would feel not only justified, but that it was your responsibility to society to do harm to such an evil, evil person. And so when the left feels like it's just, it falls on deaf ears of children, they know it doesn't. They're saying this to make these things happen in the school systems. They are raising up kids to be violent. And they also have because they aren't taught to think and to see both sides, they feel trapped. They feel so angry because they're fed this life dinner of anger and violence that when a child feels trapped, they will react in the only way they have possible, and that is physically.
So it looks like WCTV, 5 Hamilton County students are charged for a school bus attack caught on video. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says 5 students face misdemeanor battery charges after a fight on a school bus. The video shows the students punching a teen sitting in a bus seat. We just showed you the bus. And it says, I'm sitting in the hospital with my 14-year-old kid because he was just jumped by 8 black kids on the bus. The superintendent, Rex Mitchell, said the school district investigated, disciplined the students, and turned information over to the sheriff's office for action. In his statement, the superintendent also says there's no evidence that the student was wearing any President Trump apparel or that he was wearing it on prior occasions motivated the incident. Mitchell says the attack started with an argument between 2 students that escalated when more students got involved. We do not condone this behavior, so I'm sure there will be more on that later. But it just, the violence that they have, that is instilled in students at all to do this, whether you're white, black, or at all. And I think that,
let me clarify something here. I was beat up on the bus by a white kid on a multiracial bus. It was the white kid that beat me up, okay? It was the black kid that went and got our mom's purse that was stolen from other black kids, okay? It's not a race thing, okay? Yeah. This is an inner city, government housing, poor people that were not raised properly issue. And unfortunately, in the United States, that there is a larger number of African American kids that are raised in that scenario, but it doesn't matter the color of your skin that will make you act out in these manners. It's your environment. It was the white kid that beat me up amongst a bus of black kids. Right. Okay? Exactly. So it's not a race thing. It's just I'm not raised properly because society has failed.
Right.
That's what it is.
So we covered this just a little bit after, I think on Wednesday, but it is being investigated as a terror attack. There were 2 Black Hebrew Israelites who went into a Jewish deli, and 4 people were killed, 3 Jewish people and 1 police officer. Rashida Tlaib and Joy Behar told us it was horrible white supremacists who did it. They were not. They were Hebrew, Black Hebrew Israelites. That's what they call themselves.
But they're very special. And again, this isn't a racial thing because they are just a special group, like a special niche,
right,
of people.
Yeah,
that they believe that they are the true descendants.
Yeah.
Of Israel.
So it isn't being investigated as a terror attack, acts of hate. Officials say New Jersey shooters held animus towards Jews and cops. They're a Hebrew splinter group. Since a pair of shooters opened fire Tuesday in Jersey City, New Jersey, the state attorney general, Gruber Gruel, has been reluctant to label the assault on a local kosher market specifically as an anti-Semitic attack. As recent as Wednesday afternoon, even after identifying the shooters, Gruel said authorities were not in a position to definitively assign a motive, but Thursday he was ready to say it. At this point, the evidence points towards acts of hate. I can confirm that we're investigating this matter as potential acts of terrorism fueled by both an anti-Semitic and anti-law enforcement beliefs. They hated the police, okay? The announcement comes 2 days after of the investigation into attacks that left 6 people dead, 3 civilians, 1 police officer, and the 2 shooters. Growal said authorities reached their conclusion on the motives of David and Anderson and Francine Graham by interviewing eyewitnesses and identifying a number of social media accounts that we believe were used by the suspects to report and espouse a certain point of view. They're being nice about it. Black Hebrew Israelites who are so entrenched in their belief that they think that they are the real descendants of the Israelites. They hate Jews. They hate Christians, I guess. And they're the ones who were going after the Native Americans, who then went after Nick Sandmann, and it's just a mess. The cowards that took down those innocent victims engage only the folks in that store and in the law enforcement community. You could see people walking by. They didn't engage anyone. They were clearly targeting that store. They were clearly targeting the Jersey City Police Department. They said they don't know why. We know why. At the moment, officials believe the shooters were working alone. Investigators say the attackers subscribed to views consistent with the Black Hebrew Israelites, a black supremacist organization. Oh, go figure. That has been associated with anti-Semitism, although Growell says investigators have not established any formal links. 5 firearms were recovered at the scene of the attack, 4 of which were found inside the market and 1 inside the U-Haul van that the shooters drove to the location. Grumwell said that one of the guns inside the store was an AR-15 rifle. The FBI will continue to investigate this as a domestic terrorism incident. Remember that we are celebrating, with our Jewish brothers and sisters, Hanukkah right now. Here we have Jewish Orthodox men carry the casket of Jersey City victim Moshe Dausch outside the Brooklyn synagogue following his funeral Wednesday. This is anti-Semitic. It's black supremacy. It is a hate attack. And I do believe it's partially fueled by those views espoused by Rashida Tlaib and Ilham Omar and AOC.
Right.
They're, and the whole, like the Women's March, very anti-Semitic. And so get angry.
But here's my question to you for these Black Hebrew Israelites, though. They don't believe that Israel is legitimate. They believe that they are the real Israel.
Yeah.
Which is why there would be an anti-Semitic attack on Israel, on Jewish people, by people that claim that they are the real Israel.
Exactly. And remember, it was the Covington Catholic kids who were shouting and yelling to try to drown out the Black Hebrew Israelites who were yelling racial slurs at the Native Americans. The Covington kids were the good guys in all of this. Let's see. Remember the Black Hebrew Israelite group that yelled racial slurs at the Covington Catholic boys? I encountered them in L.A. and they called for genocide of white people. This is from Caitlin Bennett here.
Must be killed with the sword.
So you're saying the white people must be killed with a sword?
This is the King James 611 Bible. That's what
you guys think
said.
anything's wrong with that? Murder? Is that okay? No, slavery is not okay. It was never okay. But why would you combat it with the same? So you're gonna do that to white people?
Reading the Bible. This is the word of God. God says you are going to be killed.
You're saying these horrible things that are making.
This was written before slavery, so you can't even interpret that to slavery. This was written way before slavery.
Does he deserve to die because he's white? Does he deserve to die?
God said yes.
So what are you guys doing out here? You're preaching the word, but you don't have the balls to do it yourself? You don't have the balls to do it yourself.
Our ancestors during the slave trade, must be killed with the sword.
Do I deserve to die? Do I? I deserve to die.
God said to prepare your butts for slaughter today.
All right, guys. So what we have here is a bunch of black people saying that white people deserve to die. White people, absolutely.
That's exactly what's being said.
How is that not racist?
It is racist.
So you're admitting it.
It is absolutely racist.
Why is that okay? It is not okay to say people deserve to die.
That's it. You gotta deal with us over here.
Holy stand behind a microphone. You guys are going to do by yourselves. All right, yeah, all right. This is some toxic masculinity. Look how, do you think these men are very manly saying that white people deserve to die?
No. Actually, I've watched your videos before, so.
Do you agree with them that white people deserve to die?
No, not at all.
How crazy is that? So we can recognize that slavery is wrong, but that doesn't mean that we should be advocating to murder people based on their skin color.
That's crazy. So that's the people that killed the Jewish people.
So here's the question though, like, did she do that video before or after?
That was last February.
Right, okay. Well,
after the Covington kids.
Unfortunately for her, I wouldn't have said what she said. You're preaching this, but you don't have the guts to go out and do it, because that's almost like a challenge. It's almost like encouraging them to do that. And I think that unfortunately, when you get into these situations as a reporter, and we've been there and we've done it, you get heightened.
It's really bad. I mean,
you can entrap yourself.
No. See, I don't give her any fault, because if you're in a situation where somebody's saying that you deserve to die, you kind of go a little crazy. Yeah. And you don't really know how to respond to that. Right. And so, Caitlin, I wouldn't really know. Right. I couldn't, honestly, I don't know how I would respond.
I don't know either. No.
We probably would have gotten, I would have probably hightailed it out of there. Right. What if they would try
to
kill me there?
I want to clarify something from our own comment section here on YouTube, just so that you guys can kind of understand where Leah and I come from on racist comments and censorship. Now, somebody had left a comment that I felt was borderline racist, and so I deleted it, and then somebody said that comment should not have been deleted. If I never thought I would see censorship on this channel specifically. Well, I don't want to see racist comments in our chat. Oh, okay, number one. But number two is, I don't know if you guys quite understand. If you support our channel, and I'm so glad that you're here, and we value you. We value each one of you that support us and come to us every week and leave your opinions. I don't ever want to have to censor somebody's opinion. That being said, I think that you guys kind of, not all of you, but because you don't know, but those of you that do know, I would count it as inconsiderate. You're being informed. If you do it hereafter, then it is just you being inconsiderate. But YouTube has come out with a policy that the commenters in the comment section directly reflect the channel, and we can be harmed. We can have certain things taken away from what we can do. Our ability. We're already demonetized. They literally take the comments that are in the comment section and say that is a reflection of you guys as a channel. And so we can essentially, they could ban our channel based on something that someone in the chat on our channel said.
So what we try to do is leave the most amount of freedom to say what you need to say in a respectful manner. This is a Christian family friendly channel, so we try not to allow the too many swear words. I mean, you drop them here and there. I hope that our people don't censor all of them, put them in context. But trying to keep things family friendly, that's not a censorship thing, okay? And trying to keep hate things off that YouTube might consider hateful. We have to walk a fine line between freedom of speech.
You guys may be willing to say, listen, I'm willing to be kicked off of YouTube. I'm going to say whatever I want, but you guys don't get to say that for Leah and I and the rest of our viewers with your comments.
Other people want to come and say, and so, you know.
So I think that, I want to say this as kindly as possible, because I want you guys to know that I do value your opinion and I value your right to say it, even if I disagree. Okay, but when it comes to a racist comment or something that I would deem in a category like that, if I ever personally delete your comment, it's because I'm trying to protect our channel and I'm trying to protect those that are viewing, because we have a lot of black supporters on our channel. We have a lot of black viewers on our channel. And so if you're going to come on here and you're going to just say something that's I don't allow anti-Catholic comments. Okay, that are blatantly like just hateful. All Catholics are this, that, or the other. Like, I don't want people to come here and feel like your comments represent how we feel and our views. Okay, and that does happen. I entered a chat and they were allowing all these racist comments and they didn't do anything about it and they didn't say anything about it, and so they must feel that way. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that for those of you that are in the chat and watching. Like, we value you guys, we value your opinion, but every once in a while, you know, you have to rein it in.
Christmas music! That's stupid. I don't like talking about this stuff. I know you got to do it, but it's like, whatever. You're going to have crazies and you're going to have mean people, and sometimes you get upset.
Here's the thing. They're not mean people. These are regular viewers of ours that I like, that, you know, have different views.
Well, guess what? We can all come together on Christmas and we can all be united. Maybe not the Jewish portion, but you know what? And that's kind of weird to be, but Jesus was a Jew, so we're doing Christmas music right after our Jewish segment. That's always fun. Michelle, if you get my little, no, never mind, it's over here, never mind, it's right here. I have it right here. All right, so I want to play for you guys my favorite Christmas songs. I thought tonight would be fun to do some of my favorite ones. And on that note, I know things get heightened in this world, and we want to bring things down. We want to talk about the Lord and Jesus Christ and be filled with the Holy Spirit. And Patriot Gallery, she's going to come and say something.
Just clarify, Hanukkah, you said we're in Hanukkah. Actually, it's the 22nd to the 30th.
Hanukkah is the 22nd to the 30th.
Trump celebrated early.
He was celebrating it early.
Okay, thanks, Mom. Oh, I have a pick in there. Okay, so this is my favorite Christmas song, I think, for right now. I think some people's favorite Christmas songs,
I'm going to turn down the mic. If it's too low, let me know, but because it's right here, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit.
Remember Christ our Savior.
name. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Born a king on Bethlehem's plain, gold I bring to crown him again, King forever ceasing, never over a soul to reign. Glorious now, behold him arise, King and God and sacrifice. Hallelujah, hallelujah, worship in God Most High. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light.
Very good.
It's fun. I love
That was a good
song.
one.
It's like one of my favorite songs in the whole Bible.
Well, that's also a really good rendition of it.
Yes, it's a fun one. It's a fun one. So my other favorite is along the same veins as We Three Kings.
They were asking for that one.
We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts, we travel so far, field and fountain, more
field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star.
Yay!
Yay! We sing yay, yay, yay.
So Maya still wants us to sing that winter snow song. It's a song she asked for last year, I think.
Really?
And it's like a modern one. I think we could probably make that happen. I think. It's a
I
good
have
song.
to listen to it. I don't know.
It's a good
Sorry,
song.
man. I didn't listen to it. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Come to Bethlehem and see Christ, whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee, Christ the Lord, the newborn King. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Come see him in manger laid, in the choirs of angels praise. Mary, Joseph, lend your aid, while our hearts in love we raise. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Yay.
It's good.
It's fun. Fun, fun.
Is that it?
I have one more for you. My other favorite Christmas song, which I really think you can sing all year round.
You can't really keep saying my favorite Christmas song because Christmas songs are just our favorite.
No, I have favorites.
But there's a
The
lot
ones
of
that
favorites.
come
So you can
to
say
my
my
head all
favorite. You
the
can say
time.
one of my favorites.
All the time they come to my head. All the time. Are you ready? This one comes to my head. Are you ready? Tell it on the mountains, over the hills, and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus.
Something's not right
No,
here
they
with
didn't. I
whatever
didn't.
this
No,
is.
wait. I turned it over. Okay, I just printed this out, and my I think my let me see. I think when it printed it out, and the chords moved. So I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it. I'm trying to
Play it how it feels, not how that tells you what to do.
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills, and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. While shepherds kept their watching o'er silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a silent vlogs by night. They're shown throughout the heavens. They're shown a holy light. So go tell it on, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. The shepherds feared and trembled when low above the earth rang out the angel chorus that hailed our Savior's birth. What we gotta do? Now go tell it on the mountain and over the hills and everywhere. Yeah, go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Now, where was it? Down in a lonely manger, the humble Christ was born and brought us God's salvation that blessed Christmas morn. So go tell it on the mountain and over the hills and everywhere. Yeah, go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born.
Hey! That's
You'll
good
have
one.
to come back Sunday for more.
That's right. We're cutting you off. You've had enough Christmas caroling.
No,
there's never enough Christmas caroling. So,
never enough.
thank you guys for being here. I hope you've enjoyed our show. Congratulations to our family in the UK, our loved ones, our comrades. We have seen a huge success yesterday. It's really quite something to behold. So,
I got some tweets out from people and from people saying thanks for supporting us, and I'm just like, yeah, man, this is like a universal, suffrage thing. I'm just so excited for you guys. It's a Christmas time, Trump impeachment. It's all going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome. We are winning. We're going to bring you Steve Turley's video on Sunday. He is the happiest ray of sunshine on the internet. He's happier and more ray of sunshine like than we are. Far, far more so.
Yeah.
So, we have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters, we will read them on air. We love hearing from you guys. I've gotten some emails recently that have been really uplifting and encouraging. So, thank you guys for being a part of our channel. Every single one of you here is highly valued. So, thank you to our moderators tonight. Patriot Gallery says that she will be replaying this on our Resistance Chicks channel on YouTube at 10 p.m. tonight, so roughly in an hour and 25 minutes. If you missed the show, you can go back, or if you just want to be part of the chat because you love our viewers, because you are awesome, you can join in.
We're going to play one more. Michelle,
you will see us also on Brighteon.com. Patriot Gallery wants us to get more views there. Let's see. We're on JoshWhoTV. All of the stuff's in the description if you want to know where to find us. But ultimately, if anything were to ever happen, lights out type deal, resistancechicks.com is where you're going to find
I'm going to let you take the
us.
lead on this. I want you to sing it.
My voice is so gone in my ear, so I can try, but we can give it a. I was singing this in the car today. I love this song. This was going to be my choice for today. The stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, no. Christ was born. Oh, night divine, oh night divine. We have to switch turn the page here. Are you sure?
Just sing the next verse on your own. I'll just play it.
Where's the next verse?
It's not on here. That's why you gotta do it in your head. That's another verse. It doesn't.
Truly he taught us to love one another. His law is love and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the Savior is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall your knees, oh hear the angel voices, oh night divine, oh night when Christ was born, oh night divine, oh night divine, oh night divine, oh night divine. I don't know either.
But it was a really good rendition.
Terry says your mess ups are still a ton better than my best. You ladies are awesome. Thank you, Terry. You're awesome.
There would have no mess ups if I played through the song. I thought all the verses were on here, but they're not.
That song is so powerful because it was a holy night. It was such a holy night. And I think that's something that's missing in the Christmas season is the holiness of God. So we will probably be singing a lot of these songs again because we have some days and time before Christmas.
Christmas, creepy Christmas. We got 12 more days to Christmas.
Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory. If it's actually
the truth.
We love you guys so much. We praise God for you.
God love you so much. He sent his only begotten son.
Yes, he did. So actually, I wanted to show him real quick. This is the. Oh wait, hang on. Let me pull it back up here.
We got matchy.
We already noticed that today.
Did you know
Here's
that?
the thumbnail that Mom chose for
oh
the
my
Russian
goodness, go watch the
blower
Russian
skit.
Whistleblower.
Here, it's so funny.
Dude, like, we don't really watch back my videos, but that one, like, I just, like, almost peed my pants laughing. Like, it was so funny. And, like, I don't even take credit for it. It was, like, so funny.
It was really funny.
So funny. You're Russians.
Share it. Share that video.
Yeah, it's funny.
We want to hear from you. Leave your comments afterwards. So we'll see you back here on Sunday.
Merry Christmas.
At Merry Christmas, the joy that rings. Okay, it's so great. We have so many fun songs we need to practice. Not that these aren't fun, but I think there's some fun ones that we can do too. That are
what you're saying is that
not that
songs
one.
We never really sing.
No, I sing them on the radio. Carol the Bells. What was it, Terry? Terry, what did you ask for? Terry asked earlier for a song. Gloria in Excelsis Deo. Is that? Which one is that? We just sang that.
No, that's not that. No, there's another one.
No. Okay. Well, we're gonna sing some songs. You'll see. It's gonna be really fun. Pant Peas Anonymous. Gio says. Okay, so Mom says, in his name, all oppression shall end. Use the gospel for protection. A Christmas series on our channel, on PG, Patriot Gallery on YouTube. You can check that out. So for protection. Her blogs are amazing. It's a wonderful 3-part series. So, all right, we hate to leave you, but we really must go. We love you. God loves you. God bless.
I was cold.